Welcome back to Kai's Veil channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting the like button. And thanks for overall comments and paying attention to what's going on the real side. Now, nightclubs. Have you noticed that outside of the United States, it seems like nightclubs in red light districts in different countries, especially Asian countries, they seem better? Have you noticed that? Versus when you come to LA, Atlanta, it's like, it's kind of trash. But men are boycotting nightclubs, especially in China. What's that about? Is this bitterness? Is this because we didn't get our way, or we just realized this is not worth it? Let's find out.
Why do many men now have no interest in nightclubs, or even feel averse to them?
Because most times when you go in there, it's a sausage party. All you smell is alcohol and body odor. And you have to wait in a long ass line outside that wraps around the building. At least that's how it is in America. Now out there it might be different. I haven't checked it out yet, but it's on my bucket list. But I need to renew my passport first.
Nowadays, men are indeed becoming increasingly shrewd. You can take a look inside a bar to see for yourself. If you only bring 5,000 yuan in cash, most girls won't even give you a second glance. To attract their attention, you'd need to spend at least 20,000 to 30,000 yuan, or even 40,000 to 50,000 yuan.
Even in American currency, if you convert that, that's still a little pricey just to go to some shithole club.
With this kind of spending, maybe some average-looking girls would consider hanging out with you. In this situation, many men feel the cost is just too high to bear. How can they even think about hitting on girls? It's easier to stay home, spend 200 yuan on a lipstick, and chat with girls on dating apps. Who knows, you might even find a girl willing to call you husband or big brother.
Here we go with that big brother shit again. If you're looking for sexual action, why would you call the other person a big brother? Oh, that's right. You want big brother to pay for your stuff. Okay, all right.
Of course, no man wants to waste money on girls at nightclubs, especially since nightclub girls are usually savvy and materialistic. And men are becoming increasingly aware of this, so most are simply unwilling to go to nightclubs. Think about it. If you were a man, would you rather go to a nightclub at 4 or 5 in the morning with a few buddies, spend a
4 or 5 in the morning? Well, where I'm from, the clubs was over at 2. Maybe I just wasn't in the right place at the right time, but I'm way past the club age, so I no longer care. I have better alternatives to the nightclubs, to where I'm guaranteed some action at that. So yeah, have you noticed that when you go to the club, majority of the people there are broke? So basically, if these girls see you standing outside lined up against the wall waiting for the bouncer to check you in, you're broke. Otherwise, you would have been the first person to go into the club, and you would have had a nice VIP table or section. So yeah, if you stand outside waiting to get in, that's the number one sign that you broke.
lot of money, and maybe not even get a chance to talk to a girl? Plus, it's hard to find a ride home late at night. Or would you rather relax at home, chatting with 4 or 5 girls online who keep you company? Even a fool would probably choose the latter.
全国的夜场真的要完蛋了吗？
The entire nightlife industry in China, will it truly collapse completely? The recent Spring Thunder campaign has just ended, yet a new wave of nightlife venue inspections has begun, set to continue through the end of the year. With such a long duration, people can't help but worry if this industry will indeed come to an end. Why is there such strict scrutiny on the nightlife industry? The reasons are actually quite clear. The current economic environment is not optimistic, with many young women flocking to work in nightlife venues, avoiding marriage, or even getting divorced in increasing numbers. Some women, unable to find suitable employment, choose nightlife work, believing it.
Well, see, that's where I'll stop it right there, because a lot of these girls, they're not stupid. A lot of times they have something secondary going on. And you have a few screwballs that are only doing this and have no clue what to do once this part of their life is over. Because, how long can you really do this? I looked it up. The average person in the entertainment industry, in this segment of it, they only do it between 2 to 5 years. At some point they might even go back to it if they don't start a family or get married. But yeah, it's usually 2 to 5 years. It's short-lived. especially if they don't want to spend money on plastic surgeries to maintain their looks so that they can keep doing this. But pretty much everybody's going broke, so this hurts that industry as well.
Can bring them substantial income. However, this also means they have moved away from the role of building a life with a partner and sharing family responsibilities with men, which has a severe negative impact on birth rates. In the past, while there were inspections of the nightlife industry, they were not as intense as they are now. Today, it has reached a point where inspections are unavoidable because many young women see nightlife as their last lifeline, entering this field at a young age and gradually adopting distorted values. The number of women employed in nightlife venues across the country is immense, conservatively estimated at several million. One woman represents one family, and behind these millions of nightlife women are millions of families. These women not getting married or having children directly reduces the number of newborns in society. The country is currently...
Duh. Because if you're always out entertaining other people, how would you have time to bring newborns in the world? And again, a lot of people think these women make a lot of money, just like registered nurses on the West Coast make a lot of money. But then, truly, they don't have a lot of money, especially if they're supporting their family or sending money back home to the village. It's really not a lot of money, especially if they're trying to date regularly away from this lifestyle. They usually want the men to pay for everything, whatever they do, because they truly don't have a lot of money for themselves, because they're always giving this money and then giving it out to family, and then whatever they do with you, who wants to date them, they're expecting you to pay for whatever you guys get into.
Promoting policies to increase birth rates, and the nightlife industry clearly goes against this goal, becoming one of the obstacles to social development and, thus, a target for strict inspections. So, after a large number of nightlife venues close, where will these women turn? At present, there are a few alternative options. First, the live streaming industry. Next, billiard halls. Third, yacht services.
Oh boy.
Then, private cinemas. And lastly, business companionship services, among others. So, men, you no longer need to spend recklessly on nightlife girls. In the near future, you may not even need to spend so much money to find a chance to date a pretty girl. Just providing some living expenses might be enough for a happy relationship. Moreover, I notice that more and more men are waking up to the fact that nightlife girls are all gold diggers. Their desire for money is like a bottomless pit.
Yeah, pretty much everything is a business transaction between you and them. So, if you are trying to get to know them personally, just understand there's still going to be a lot of business and negotiation between y'all.
So, as for the future of nightclub girls, let's wait and see.
做夜场的女孩子还纯洁吗？
Are girls who work in nightclubs still pure?
What?
Today, let's talk about the topic of nightclubs. I believe everyone knows what places we're referring to when we mention nightclubs. First, let's discuss girls who work in massage parlors. Most of these women are married and over 25 years old. Due to their husband's low income, they have to work to supplement the family income. Generally speaking, their service rates usually don't exceed 300 yuan. If the price goes beyond 300 yuan, there's definitely something questionable involved. I believe everyone understands what that implies. Next, let's look at girls in bars, who are mostly young people born after 1995 or even after 2000. This group has a very complex composition. Compared to the women in massage parlors, there's a higher proportion of unmarried women in bars. Among them, many have no savings, no car, no house, and even have debts.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying earlier at the beginning of the video. They might get a lot of money from tips and everything, but you got to remember that fast cash, a small percentage of it is invested and the rest goes to support their family. And a lot of times it's going to be more than just their parents. It's going to be parents, it's going to be siblings, it might be a few aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews. You'll be surprised. They're trying to fund somebody's wedding, a friend's wedding. It's like it just goes so far down the line. It's just one person supporting the whole family pretty much. Uh-oh, what happened?
The third group includes girls who work in KTVs. Don't be misled when they call you big brother or big sister while you're spending money there, making you feel good. In reality, they're only interested in the money in your pocket, and their words are often insincere. So if you're just going to KTV to have some fun, treat it as entertainment and don't take it too seriously. The last group is the girls in clubs.
Oh, God.
The clients who come to clubs have very clear intentions, and the women working there tend to be bolder. This reminds me of a scene from the movie Due West, Our Sex Journey, where the main character enters a club, and after the woman enters the room, he asks, "How many times do you shower a day?" She responds, "I shower 5 or 6 times a day." At this moment, he starts to question her purity. Is she truly clean or not? After struggling with his thoughts, he ultimately chooses not to dig deeper. So, are these girls in nightclubs truly clean? Are they pure? Actually, the so-called clean or unclean is based on patriarchal thinking. You have to understand, the market demand exists here. Without male consumers, this industry wouldn't exist.
You know, it's just like the streetwalkers. To people that deal with the streetwalkers, those are probably the dirtiest ones if you think about it. Because where are they going to shower and clean themselves off at? They just got out of somebody's car. They just came from behind a building. So you know these people are not cleaning themselves between clients. But when these things are provided indoors and there's a place where there's a shower, then most likely they're able to deal with their hygiene, right? So it's common sense.
Therefore, in any industry, when we take off our clothes, we are all primitive people. When we put on our clothes, we are civilized. Nobility versus inferiority, purity versus impurity, cannot be judged in one word. The true judgment lies in whether one has betrayed their own conscience, harmed others, or impacted the country. These are the standards for judgment.
Many people are curious about the ultimate destination of women who work in nightclubs.
Why?
Those who work in bars, nightclubs, and KTVs, who do they end up marrying?
And for the record, KTVs means karaoke rooms, pretty much. Karaoke club.
We all know that in the United States there are heroes like Spider-Man who save the world, whereas in China there is a figure known as a jipanxia, someone who often chooses to marry these women despite knowing their past. I have a friend who is a prime example. He met his girlfriend who worked in private rooms serving drinks, often dressed provocatively, wearing large, flashy earrings. They've been married for 8 years, but now they're divorced. During her pregnancy, she was relatively well behaved, but after the child was born, she returned to her former lifestyle.
That's what I'm saying, because see, they say that when women go into these industries, they lose their ability to pair bond. But she was able to do it for 8 years. What happened?
Going out all night, drinking and playing cards, often not coming home until morning. What's more, the bars she worked for were all local, meaning her clients were also people from the same city. After giving birth, she started dressing up extravagantly again, just like before. Every night, different friends would wait downstairs to go out with her. She always calmly explained, "They're just friends, we're just playing cards, drinking a bit, nothing serious, right?"
Yeah, right.
Sometimes she'd be out drinking until 5 a.m., sometimes all night. This marriage lasted 8 years. She never worked, and ultimately she spent over 1 million yuan of his family's money, and they still ended up divorcing. Afterward, my friend told me he deeply regretted chasing her beauty alone and neglecting other important factors. You see, women working in nightclubs are indeed very beautiful. Nightclub owners wouldn't choose unattractive women, so they are usually tall and stunning. Another friend of mine had a similar experience. His wife worked in the nightlife industry before they got married. They knew each other for only 7 days before starting a relationship, and
What do you know about somebody within 7 days of knowing them?
just 15 days later they got a marriage certificate. Back then she told him, "Now that I've met you, I want to live a proper life." However, now I suspect that she might have decided to marry him after becoming pregnant with someone else's child.
Whoa.
She had previously dated over 10 boyfriends and traveled frequently. After they got married,
And see, that's, you know, in the States here in the West, being a nurse, especially a travel nurse, that's the number one 304 position to be in, right? And then after that, it becomes flight attendants, hairdressers, realtors. But for some reason, Registered nurse always comes in at number one. But then I'm like, that's not true. Because see, you have the staff nurse and then you have the travel nurse that's only going to be there a few weeks and she has a hotel room down the street. See that? Versus the regular staff nurse owns a few properties, married, and have a few sons and daughters. So that's a big mix-up. But I'll say for any job that requires traveling, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
My friend discovered that she was still actively using various social apps, constantly chatting with strangers. Before the marriage, she even went to the hospital for a checkup and was diagnosed with some skin conditions. A year into their marriage, she began treating his parents and him poorly, and they separated just 1 year after marriage. It's been 5 or 6 years now. He told me that the only reason he's maintaining this relationship is that she treats their child relatively well. But whether this child is truly his, even that has become a question. Many women who work in bars, nightclubs, and KTVs hope to find a Japanxia to rely on for the rest of their lives.
And see, that's another thing. These guys that get serious with these girls, I don't think that they're aware that if they feel like they could take them out of this lifestyle, living this lifestyle, being around all these bigwig people, that a lot of these girls are liabilities. These women working in these industries are actually, a lot of times, looking for somebody to save them. But it comes with a cost. The man's going to pretty much have to provide a paid lifestyle. Because where else is she going to make money this good and this fast once a man just comes in there and sweeps her off of her feet?
This Japanxia is often a stable, down-to-earth man willing to live a serious life. My friend is exactly this type of person. Yesterday he asked me for advice, whether he should keep enduring this situation or opt for divorce. I told him, given that they separated only a year after marriage, and it's been 5 or 6 years since then, what's left to wait for? For a woman like her, you can't expect her to change. She was who she was before marriage, and she will remain the same after. Sometimes we need to understand that people don't change. You can't change a person, not even your partner, because even changing ourselves is challenging. If she's a bad girl deep down, then there's simply no chance she'll change. It's like a tree whose roots have rotted. Can you really change her? Men, remember this. Don't try to change others. In the adult world, all we can do is make choices, not change others.
What kind of men do club girls eventually marry? I know one such girl. She's 1.72 meters tall, has striking looks, and a pretty good figure. While in college, she often went to bars and was very popular. Later, she realized that clubbing wasn't just fun. It could also be profitable. So, she became well acquainted with the bar staff and gradually started working part-time in the atmosphere team, sometimes even DJing. She gradually gained...
Whoa, now if you get to DJ, then that's VIP status right there. Not only do you become a working girl, but you get the DJ too. That's good.
quite a reputation in this circle. Over time, she got to know quite a few influential men. Because she frequently went with these men to various social events, she witnessed their lavish lifestyles, spending money like water. This raised her standards for choosing a partner. After all, these bosses cared about face. In social settings, they behaved very gentlemanly, always polite and well-mannered. Over time, she developed a bit of an illusion, believing that she was equal to these men and could stand on the same level as them.
Oh my God.
As time went on, she gained a bit of fame in this circle due to these experiences. However, when she started going on blind dates, things became somewhat tricky. Many men, after learning about her past, felt uneasy about her experiences and were generally unwilling to pursue a deeper relationship with her. Just as she was feeling disappointed, she met a young man offline. Because of her extensive interactions with wealthy men in the nightlife scene, she could tell at a glance that this young man didn't come from a wealthy family. However, to her surprise, this young man was very willing to spend money on her. Almost every day, he would give her luxury gifts, which left her astonished and even made her wonder if she had misjudged him. In just 4 or 5 months, The young man transferred a total of 100,000 yuan to her and gave her many designer bags and high-end cosmetics, with a total value exceeding 100,000 yuan.
Yeah, it sounds like he spended his investment money or his parents' savings, because who in their right mind will spend their own money like this? Oh, that's right. Somebody that doesn't pay a mortgage or rent and car notes. So he had the money to do that. Good for him. The only thing is he can't buy respect.
In the end, this young man became her husband. After they got married, she discovered that he was, in fact, an ordinary person. To pursue her, all the luxury goods and money he had given her initially were borrowed through online loans.
Last week, a young man who came to our matchmaking company said, "If a girl works at a nightclub, no matter how beautiful she is, I would never consider dating her."
Oh.
This man is a typical high-quality man in the dating market. He is nearly 1.78 meters tall, a local, born in 1993, with a decent family background. He has a stable annual income from rental properties, amounting to about 300,000 yuan each year. Although he admits that a woman's appearance is important, he made it clear that he would never consider marrying a girl who works in a nightclub. When I first heard this, my initial reaction was, isn't this a form of occupational discrimination?
Well, yes, and then no, because the baggage and what comes with it. It's all personal preference. Because, see, that's funny how when men speak out on their preference, it's discrimination.
But as he continued to explain, I realized he had a point. After all, women working in nightclubs are often surrounded by various rich second-generation kids and wealthy men. They spend money like it's water, ride in luxury cars, and live an extremely lavish lifestyle. Such an environment makes them accustomed to a fast money lifestyle, and it might indeed be difficult for them to return to an ordinary life. At first I thought, we shouldn't generalize and judge everyone the same way. Each person has their own experiences and choices. But then, as this young man shared more of his views, I began to understand his perspective. He said that, as an ordinary person, he doesn't need to take on such complex emotional risks. He believes that the nature of nightclub work means these women might interact with many men, and you can never know how many hands she has held, or even how many intimate encounters she might have had. Furthermore, in such an environment, she could be adding new male friends every day, possibly engaging in activities that are not entirely innocent. At this point,
You know, a lot of these people that work in these hospitality industries, a lot of times they offer paid services. Even tourists, female tourists, a lot of them offer paid services, or should I say extras. So it's not hard to get any of that. So it's like you could pretty much criticize anybody in any industry and say that, oh, they probably did this and did that, but how would you know? And then you start to wonder about their body count, but that's more of an American thing.
he revealed that he understands this because he once had a relationship purely based on looks. He dated a very beautiful nightclub girl, but they later broke up. Only after the breakup did he hear from friends that he had been cheated on countless times during the relationship. So he came to deeply realize that he is just an ordinary person. If he wants to marry, he would have to rely on his parents' hard-earned savings accumulated over many years to pay the bride price. Instead of marrying someone who might bring these risks, he would rather find a relatively simple, decent girl to live a stable life with. He concluded by saying, "With my conditions, I can definitely find a decent girl to marry. Wouldn't that be better?"
Yeah.
Now I finally understand his feelings.
Most girls working in nightclubs are not in a good financial situation. Today, I'm bringing up this topic not because I have any bias against this industry, but because I genuinely hope that young women won't choose this line of work. Not only does it not earn much, but it can also ruin their lives. I know quite a few women who used to work in nightclubs, and through talking with them, I found that about 90% of them carry significant online loan debt. Most of them work very hard, staying up all night, drinking until they vomit. It's truly a grueling job, and in the dating market, women who work in nightclubs are often looked down upon by men.
But see, the funny thing is, a lot of these people could hide their past. Like, they could move to a different part of the country and nobody won't know them. And You don't know what they were doing previously right before you met them. So it's easy to hide this part of their life. Not less, hey, weren't you the girl that used to work at this place?
Because of their profession. Seeing this makes me feel deeply sorry for them. So why don't I recommend girls to enter the nightclub industry? There are many reasons. First, many people choose this job because they think it's easy money and light work, without planning for their future. The money they make today is often spent by tomorrow, so most end up with little savings.
Well, the good thing is it's not tax money, so that part's good. But like I said, they're supporting a bunch of other people. And sometimes those are friends outside of family. That pretty much wraps it up here. Thanks for checking it out. This is Kai the Veil. It is time for bed. Peace.